Let's go to the fan hotline. Welcome in John Greco. He butchers nothing. He's 92.3 The Fan's Browns analyst, former Browns guard, joins us right now. Hello, John.
Ken, good morning. Anthony, good morning. It's great to be with you guys.
What does a win like that do for the confidence in Dillon Gabriel with the team, the team's confidence in Dillon?
Yeah, I think they had confidence in him, but when you get a win like that at home so convincingly, and, all Dillon Gabriel did was kind of what we've seen with a little bit more help from the defense. He didn't shock the world with huge throws down the field or big, explosive plays, but he's going to do what he is. He's going to be efficient. He's going to get the ball out of his hands. He's going to have everybody organized, throw the ball in the right place. And that's what I saw, and when you couple that with terrific play out of your young star running back, and, you get 4 takeaways and the defense is getting a couple sacks, that's a winning recipe for football. So, I think everybody needed that, fans, coaches, media people, players especially, to just hit a little bit of a mini reset. And I know, I hear Kevin Stefanski and every coach I've ever played for has said, hey, look what's immediately ahead of us, directly ahead of us. And they're worried about the Patriots. But, guys, we have the luxury that we can look ahead. And the schedule over the next month, I don't want to call it light, but there's some winnable games in there. The Jets are terrible. Vegas can be a game that you can win. And the Patriots, I know they have a young young quarterback that's playing really well. And, they have the Mike Vrabel thing, which is going to be entertaining. But their defense, they're not world beaters, and it's not the Patriots defense that, was winning all those championships. So anything can happen there. And then you have the Jets who are worse than Miami is. So I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to see if they can build on some of this momentum. But Dillon Gabriel absolutely has the confidence of the team right now, and the team has the confidence to move forward and say, hey, look, if we just play our game and play complementary football in all 3 phases, we can rattle off some wins.
All right, so they're able to get away with that while playing with a lead against the Dolphins, a team that kind of look like they're ready to quit if they haven't already on their coach. What happens when they're going up against a team on the road like New England, who has been very good against the run this year? How do you think that looks, and do you think they can afford to be that conservative?
Yeah, exactly, Anthony, and I don't. Mike Vrabel's knows what he's doing, and he played for arguably one of the best coaches that's ever coached football in Bill Belichick. And what did good Bill Belichick teams always do? They would try to neutralize your biggest strength, which for the Browns right now is their rushing attack. So I would expect very heavy boxes and say, we are not letting that young running back win the game for us. And let's put the pressure on Dillon Gabriel and make these guys, complete the ball, complete passes down the field. And, New England's rushing attack, your defense, you're right, is stout. But their pass game, pass defense kind of leaks oil. I don't know where they are ranked, but I know it's probably in the bottom third, and they're giving up a lot of yards per game. So can the Browns find a way to attack the ball downfield? Now, they haven't done that yet. Dillon Gabriel was efficient, as we all know, and we've talked about throughout this season, but still, I think the longest completion down the field was maybe 20 yards to Jamari Thrash. I don't know the specific yardage off the top of my head, but it's not like they're clipping the ball 30, 40 yards down the field and taking big shots. So how can Kevin Stefanski, how can this offensive staff dial up some more aggressive plays down the field to loosen up defenses to allow the running game to flourish a little bit more?
Can you make comparisons already between Nick Chubb and Quinshon Judkins? Lima asked me yesterday, and I said I wasn't ready to do it yet.
Yes, but I think Nick Chubb just has such a special place in Browns fans' hearts and in that stadium and in that locker room. He's almost like a cherished relic of the Browns. So it's tough to do that, and I feel like we almost think it's kind of unfair. And Quinshon Judkins is kind of his own thing and his own guy, and that's kind of how I'm approaching it. I see a guy that has a lot of comparisons to Nick Chubb, He's explosive. He breaks tackles. He looks like he's a smart player. He's kind of a quiet storm. Nick Chubb almost showed zero emotions. This young guy has a little bit more fire, which I love, and the guys feed off of that. But I'm seeing a lot of the similarities where, and you guys have heard me say this before, if the offensive line and the tight ends and the offense blocks for 4 yards, he's picking up 6. If it looks like he's dead in the water and it's going to be a tackle for loss or a no gainer, he's falling forward. And he has that speed, that breakaway speed, that explosive capability when he hits the hole to make a guy miss and pick up big plays. So there's a lot of comparisons. It's just hard for me to do that because of what Nick Chubb meant for this city, for this team and organization, and to these fans. That I think that's why some people are going to hesitate. But that's what we do. We want to compare players, current players to former players that we know and love. And I get why folks are doing that. But for me, I'm looking at it just as a new experience and something that we can all be excited about because that man has such a bright future.
We've kind of gone over this throughout the weeks, depending on the game, on pass protection versus runs. And there just weren't a lot of holes for Judkins. He did capitalize on one that was there, and he took it to the house, which was awesome. But he is still getting touched a lot behind the line of scrimmage. You just chalk that up to so many guys going through so many different lineups on the offensive line.
Yeah, Anthony, it's I don't want to sit here like I'm making excuses for them, but I do think that that's what it is, and I think that there's small breakdowns on each play, and I don't know if you guys watched that game last night, the Detroit Tampa game, but
yes.
Jahmyr Gibbs had a off tackle run to the right where he was literally untouched and he ran through like a 4-yard hole, and obviously we saw the breakaway speed. That just isn't there because there's so much traffic in the box because the Browns are one-dimensional right now. So there's so many bodies. You have to rely on receivers getting in there and digging out their blocks, tight ends working with tackles to the next level, and everything just has to go so perfect for them to gain any ground in the running game. And that's where we're seeing Judkins have success, where he's just breaking tackles and making guys miss and making the improbable look successful. So that's where we're at right now, guys, and it's going to continue to do that until they're able to soften defenses up and show that they can attack the ball down the field, which I'm hoping that they do and open up the playbook and become a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, your eyes aren't lying, Anthony, to you. We're seeing that, and I think it's just small breakdowns within the play here and there, and those guys just have to get that cleaned up.
John Greco joining us on the show. Well, you just answered what I was going to ask, because I was like, well, is there anything Kevin could do to free up Dillon Gabriel there? Because, we're having this weird argument, and I think people have been having arguments between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur for a while now, and so they become immediately sensitive to the quarterback discussion. Because when I look at Dillon Gabriel's future, I'm like, hey, man, I see a career backup. Because everything you're telling me is everything that you would deal with when you have a backup quarterback. All right, let's try to win, even though our offense is one-dimensional, and we have to do this, this, and this to take care of some of the shortcomings that the quarterback has. And I got some people just flat-out cussing me out over it. And I'm going, guys, I don't think that this is going to be, if he ends up being a great story, fine, but I'm not going to put more pressure on him than I already want to put on him. Just because he's a Browns quarterback and he's a rookie doesn't mean I automatically think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. And I think that either A, people don't want to accept that, they love an underdog, or B, they are arguing over his backup and they don't want to see his backup and they're just not going to hear anything out of it. And we're going to see things that we're really not seeing when it comes to the quarterback play so far, because the quarterback play's been just fine, just there, but it hasn't been anything that can't be defended. By a defense, I mean, not by me, but I mean by defense.
Yeah, and there's a lot there to unpack, and I'm with you. I talk to fans, that I'm friends with, and I get scolded on the internet the same way, and we're all kind of wanting the same thing. We're wondering what's hamstringing them from being more explosive. And a lot of people are blaming Dillon Gabriel. A lot of people are blaming Kevin Stefanski. A lot of people are blaming the receivers. I think it's a combination of all those things. And it's hard to give really anybody a fair assessment offensively, because I don't know who deserves the bulk of that blame. So same thing with Shedeur Sanders. I love that guy. I love his fire. I love his energy, and I want to see him succeed. So by forcing him in there right now, are we going to get the best version of him, or is he going to be scrambling because the protection's not there and because guys can't get open down the field or guys can't catch the ball? That's kind of where I'm at. So I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know who to blame. I just think everybody's taken part in it, and why they can't manufacture a downfield passing attack, I don't know what it is. I think it has something to do with guys not getting open and catching the ball consistently. I think a lot of times protection is breaking down, and I think the coaching and the play calling has been so damn conservative that combining all of those things together, this is what we're seeing. And I don't know the answer. A lot of people were saying, well, Shedeur would be able to come in and increase those explosive plays. Maybe he would. I don't know how we can just say that right here, right now, with what he would be working with around him. So a lot of the people that are Shedeur fans and in that camp that are so excited to see that young man play, I'm one of them. I want to see him play, and I want him to do really well. But I want Dillon Gabriel to do really well, because that means the Browns are winning games. I don't really care who's in there. I want them to win. And what it looks like, if it's grimy, if it's a blue-collar win like it was Sunday, where the offense is doing just enough, but the defense is playing, extraordinary, whatever it takes, guys. So, yeah, I think it's hard because the offense does not have that explosive downfield player, and they just lack the consistency in the pass game right now, to where I don't know if Dillon Gabriel had, some of the other receivers in the league on the team, would he be, ranked in the top 5 and look like this explosive passer? Or would we be having the same arguments? Oh, no, the play calling is too conservative. I just think it's a combination of all those things that's really, hamstringing the vertical passing game right now.
John Greco joining us on the show. If he struggled and they lost against New England, you have a bye week there, would you kick around playing Shedeur against the Jets?
Gosh, guys, I don't know. Some of these arguments that I was just saying,
it's okay. You can say no, or you can say we'll see when we get there. There's always next week.
I'm thinking about it because, it's not like Dillon Gabriel's out there turning the ball over and fumbling and taking a million sacks and throwing the ball 100 yards over guys' heads and throwing right to defenders. It's just not that exciting right now. And again, if Shedeur Sanders comes in, is he going to be constantly under pressure? Is he going to be throwing the ball 4 yards and 6 yards down the field? Or are we just going to be chucking it up? And if that happens, are guys going to be coming down with the ball? And then we're like, oh my God, where was this? So it's hard for me to look through a crystal ball, but my guess is if they lose to New England and you go in the bye, of course that question is going to come up, and we won't know until, Thursday of that week, because the Browns don't disclose any information. It's very, very secretive. So for me, no. I'm kind of in the camp that I want to see Shedeur Sanders do well. And if all of these things around Dillon Gabriel are contributing to his lack of success throwing the ball down the field, I kind of think that's going to happen to Shedeur. And I'd rather just see a guy have the best chance to be put into the best chance to win games and succeed. And look, Dillon Gabriel's in there right now because he's the only damn quarterback on the roster that's named is not Shedeur Sanders. So, these guys do they have the best chance around them to succeed? Time will tell, but I'm sure that conversation is going to come up, and I guess we'll approach that when it does.
10 seconds. If NIL in high school would have been available at Boardman High School, would you have a deal with Jay's Hot Dogs?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the guy that would line them up all the way up to his hairy bicep and shoulder, yes, I would be in there. I'd be on their commercials. I would get free hot dogs and free chili dogs every Saturday.
That's just flavor. All right. John, thank you very much for the time.
Guys, thank you. Have a good week.
You too. John Greco on the Fan Hot.